Hello everyone, Maria Trusa with Reflect and Reset with Maria and
Gina.
And we're so excited to be here today. First, like always, we want to thank you for following us. We want to thank you for taking the time to look at this video, to look at our Facebook Live, because we know you could be doing many things, but the fact that you're watching us, it is an honor for us. And I want to tell you that this month has been very inspiring. We actually is Women History Month.
Empowerment. Right? Oh, yeah, International Women's
We had on the
Month.
8th, it was Women
International Women's Day.
And then is the Women History Month.
Yes.
And we're celebrating people, women that are making an impact. And we've had Marsha the last Facebook Live, and she was amazing. And today we have somebody actually very young, and we're excited about that because she has an incredible story. And Gina is going to do the introduction.
I'm gonna hopefully not batch this up here. So it's Talita Acciari.
Yes.
Acciari.
Oh, I didn't got it.
So she has a wonderful story, and because we're doing this, the Women's Month, it was really, really great that you decided to join us, because when we heard your story, we met this young lady at El Centro Hispano, and when she said her story, Maria and I were like, oh,
We were
my
crying.
God.
We're like, oh my God.
Like, you think that you go through struggles, and then you hear someone like yourself tell your story, and it's like, wow. And so it touched us so much that we were so happy that you decided to come on. So we're gonna let you tell a little bit about your story, where you came from, when you came here, and then we'll get into what happened medically and all those things.
Before we go there, Talita, can you tell us, because she volunteers at El Centro Hispano with Isabel Villar, who is somebody so dear to us. And before you get into the story, because that's really how we met you, because you participate in a program. Tell us about that program.
So we met at El Centro Hispano's 45th anniversary. So I volunteered with mi hermana mayor when I was obtaining my associate's degree at Westchester Community College, which was back in 2009. And I was with them for about 2 years. It was about twice a week for maybe 2 hours. And we would have a little sister that we would help her with homework. We would help her with any issues she was having at school, up to a certain point. And it was amazing to do that work, because when I arrived here in 2000, I went through school alone. Like, I didn't have a big sister to help me. So I was able to provide something for this, there were two, one Brazilian one and another, I forgot what country she was from, Dominican Republic. And it was just amazing to provide something to her that I didn't have myself when I was growing up.
And how long did you do that for?
About 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, while I obtained my associate's degree.
That's beautiful.
So making an impact on people
And El
is
Centro,
a beautiful thing.
And El Centro really goes above and beyond.
I mean,
and it's
for
beautiful
45 years.
Yeah.
They're amazing. So tell us about you. Tell us where you come from. Just tell us your story.
So I'm originally from Brazil. I came here in the year 2000 when I was 9 years old.
And speak up a little.
So my mom came here in 1998, and I stayed there with my grandparents. She came actually escaping domestic violence back in Brazil. And then in 2000 I came when I was 9. I went through the school systems here. I graduated high school in 2009. Obtained my associate's degree in liberal arts at Westchester Community College, since I didn't know what I really wanted to do in life, like a lot of people.
I did that too at the beginning. And look where I am, so it's okay.
So after that, I went to Lehman College in the Bronx. I obtained my bachelor's degree in psychology there. And I'm now in nursing school back at Westchester Community College.
Beautiful.
I just can't leave. I love that school. And I'm a DACA recipient. So I've been a DACA recipient since 2012.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's been
And what inspired you to get into nursing school? Because I remember you talking about that.
So what inspired me was the care I received from nurses when I obtained 2 cornea transplants.
When were you legally blind?
When I was 12 years old, I was here already, I was diagnosed with keratoconus. So keratoconus is a very rare eye disease in which the cornea, which is the clear outer shape of the eye, it bulges outward into a cone-like shape and causes all types of distortions. There's, gets up to a severe, late stage, which is what I had already. And so I didn't, after I was able to get DACA was when I was able to obtain health insurance, because before then I couldn't afford a cornea transplant or two. They were done separately. And so my first one was in July of 2014, which was the right eye. The left eye was done New Year's Eve, December 31st of 2015. There was my doctor, working on New Year's Eve when everyone else was probably partying. And the care I received at the hospital, and just the love I have for caring for people, I'm a very caring person, is what inspires me to become a nurse.
And your vision is?
Today it's 20/20 with contact lenses. They're called scleral lenses. They're gas permeable, they're hard plastic lenses. So there's still issues today, a lot of them, but nothing compares to being legally blind.
So you had many challenges, in your, how old are you?
28.
28. And in this young age of 28, I know that you've had a lot of issues. And the show is about inspiring other women, right? And people in your age, millennials. We need inspiration, right? And you've gone through so much, from your childhood. If you can talk a little bit about, the struggles that you had, and how you've been overcoming it. And you're still overcoming them, because we never stop, growing. That's the idea. So
Arriving here at the age of 9, I remember it clearly, like the first day in elementary school. I was outside during recess, and I was looking around because it was very, very sad and traumatic even. Because in Brazil, I had a goodbye party with like 20 students. They were all friends. It was all, happiness. And then I come here at 9. I don't know where I am, because I didn't know what United States was. All I knew is that I traveled by plane, for hours, and then I was here. So that was very, very traumatic. It was, I would come home every day at 3, and I'd cry every day for about 3 months or so. But then 6 months in, I learned English, and
so you spoke no English when you got here?
No, nothing. Zero. So this this Hispanic girl actually spoke to me in Spanish, and I could understand a little bit. Now I speak Spanish fluently.
So you were speaking Portuguese?
I spoke
Portuguese,
Portuguese,
right?
But I could understand her a little bit. But it was just, no friends. It's very difficult to just stay around you and see everyone playing, and you're a child, so you don't really know what to do.
Were the kids warm with you? Were they?
They had their own little groups, so
cliques.
No.
Yeah,
but that girl that spoke to me was nice. But it got better, it did. But it was, it wasn't very easy, because my mom and I cleaned offices at night. We cleaned 3 offices, so I'd go to school until 3, where she was cleaning houses up until 3. I'd get home and she still wasn't home, but at 5 o'clock we had to be at the offices to clean. So it was a childhood, I guess, children, you're a child, you're meant to be playing, you're meant to be with your friends, you're not meant to be growing up cleaning offices.
So you will go and clean until what time?
Until about 9.
And when will you do homework?
Either between that 3 and 5 or after the 9. And like I said, with the little girls, I didn't have anyone. My mom didn't speak any English, so.
Did you know anybody, your mother?
She had her sister here who had lived here for years. Her brother had lived here for years, but their relationship is rocky, so we didn't depend on them for anything. It was basically her and I the whole time. But with schoolwork, it was just me. So that was difficult, but I got through it.
And with just being you and your mom, I mean, like, how difficult was it for you?
That's another whole issue of itself. So I never met my dad, and that's a whole other void, that, like I told you that I watched the interview that you had with your son. He said a lot of us are broken, and that is completely true. A lot of us are, and it's very painful to think about those things. So like he said, we just cover them up with whatever
sedation.
We
sedate in different ways.
But yeah, without a dad there, just her and I, our relationship was also rocky itself. It was very, very difficult.
It seems like when it's just the two of you, you're all she has.
Right.
So it becomes a little bit of a pressure,
Right.
you know, to be everything to her and vice versa.
And I'm sure raising me as a single mom was no easy task.
Yeah, having to work in. I mean, I asked her to watch my son's Reflect and Reset with Maria and Gina, and she was saying how she actually watched it twice because, you know, going back to pain is something that we need to deal with, and it's something that we avoid. And you will go through more experience of that because I know, you know, I look at my life as decades, and I remember my 20s, and they were hard. They were really, really hard. I had no clue. That's how I felt. Like I had no clue. I had no clue of what direction my life was going to go. I was divorced by then. I was a single mom. And then my 30s, I sort of started to realize that something has to happen because I cannot continue living life this way. And, you know, I think this is a journey that we all take. And but I, like my son, started dealing with my pain. So I started dealing with the pain at the age of, I would say, 30. Really deep
And
going
he felt
into
your
it.
pain. He felt your pain, or was it like you emanated your pain
Oh,
onto him?
my kids, Franco was my catalyst to really realize that I needed, and we've talked about it, I actually have asked my son for forgiveness because, and we went through that process, you know, because I didn't know, but all I knew is I'm not connected to this kid. I am, you know, I am not a good mother. I don't feel connected to my son. And yet I am a loving, you know me, I mean, I'm a loving human being. I love everybody. And it made me realize, I know, but I love this woman a lot.
I'm a favorite.
Well, yes, she is. Today she is. But anyway, you know, dealing with pain, it is difficult, but it's a necessity. We have to deal with the pain. And I would, you know, I would really urge all, especially the millennials that are going on that process, because I'm even seeing it with my 30-year-old, but they've seen me go through that process. So the idea is that learn to deal with the pain, confront it, and then figure it out, and then start taking different direction in your life. Because if you don't deal with the pain, you know what happens? You sedate with food, you sedate with alcohol, drugs, you sedate with even the gym, you sedate with your body, where you tortured your body. This is why people have, you know, eating disorders and cutting and all of that. That is all pain being bottled in, and we have to learn to deal with it.
And they also, a lot of the times, people believe that it's their environment, and they feel if I just move, I can get away from this because it's not me, it's you or you that's causing this pain. Well, you can't run away from yourself.
It's gonna go with you.
Oh, it's with you. Unless you, like Maria said, unless you face it and you deal with the issues that you're having, honey, it's with you for wherever you go. So it's
and obviously you have been dealing with you're starting to at least maybe deal with it, right? Because you're asking a lot of questions.
Deal with it better now. Like in nursing school, we just finished our psychiatric mental health rotation, and I was at St. Joe's for our clinicals, and it is a very sad, scary world in there, and you realize how much mental health matters. And just for Franco to have come out and said, he talked about him seeing his therapist, and I've been seeing therapists ever since middle school here to deal with my issues. But for him to come out and say that he's, it's for a man to come out and say that, it's pretty amazing. It's very, mental health is a big stigma, and it's big taboo. Like even coming from Brazil, over there they think if you see a psychiatrist or psychologist, you must be crazy.
Yeah, something wrong with you.
True.
Right.
It's completely not
Everybody
true.
needs everybody needs to talk to a therapist. I believe. And I believe you're
agree.
saying everybody's broken.
Everybody's
One way or another,
broken.
you are not. If you think you're perfect, you're even more broken than everybody.
Actually, yes, we can say that. The people that are the righteous people, that they feel, everybody else is broken. If you feel, I'm on this, if there is a reoccurring theme, when you look at the people that are near you, your friends, your family, and everybody's saying a reoccurring theme. Like, I'll give you an example because we're very open. My daughter, I realized that I had some unresolved childhood issue with my little girl because I've dealt with my boys, but it was a girl, so it was different, and she was going through a difficult time with the separation because I got divorced. And what I realized is that my son Franco said to me, you are not being patient with Natasha. And this is, you're gonna have to look into that. Then Gloria, my babysitter, my sister, which has been in my life for 30 years, said the same thing. And I started hearing this from a few people. And as painful as it was, because I was blaming my 11-year-old daughter for being, difficult, for being, she's a girl and da-da-da-da. And I realized that I had to deal with that pain of recognizing that it was me, that I needed to resolve the issue. So what actions did I take? And, let's talk about actions. And I want you to think some actions that you've taken on how to deal with all of this. Because guess what? You're in college. You went back to college. So it takes action. It takes determination and power to be able to do that. So I want you to think of how you got there. And I'm going to, and I'll tell you that with my daughter, what I decided to do, the action that I took, and I want you to think of, something that so we can give to them action that we.
Perfect.
Oh, I forgot. She's the only one.
I'm the self-righteous one.
No, she's not. She's awesome. But with my daughter, one action that I took was to listen to Audible books, and I listened to 5 Audible books that concentrated, one of them being Parenting from Inside Out. And that book was eye-opening to me because it made me realize that all the brokenness that I have from my childhood, it gives you clarity that of what you're doing in the results that you're getting, because the results that I was getting with my daughter were not the results that I wanted. I wanted to be connected. I wanted to love her. I wanted to kiss her. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to play with her. So I took on this journey of listening to these books, and I cannot believe. I mean, Gina sees it because she's very close to my life, and she sees the interaction with my daughter, and the way that I talk to her about her is different. And the last book that I took is called Playful Parenting, because I realized that I did not know how to play with kids, because my mom never played with me. Never. And not blaming my mom, because her mom abandoned her, and she had many, many other issues. My mom had no one to play with either. So, but for me to break that barrier that was created in our family, it's really empowering. And I have to tell you that I play with my daughter, and I'm listening because the book gives you example of how you can get great results from just playing with them. So I will recommend Audible books for whatever it is that you want to find out, that you want to fix. There's tons of Audible books. So that's my recommendation. What is yours?
Well, my recommendation, there's so many, but let's just concentrate on the latter part of Erica's life, my daughter. You have to accept them who they are. I can't make her be something she's not. And what we do is we instill what the person should be. This is how you should act. This is how you should, especially in public or around people. We're very worried about what other people think. And and of course you always want to be, a good person, and you never want to be somebody that someone has something bad to say about because of something actually that you're ashamed of. But the truth is that, we are doing the best we can, and we have to, knowing that we gave them the right guidelines and we gave them the right course to take, you have to trust that they are who they're meant to be. And yes, starting with Natasha is different because Natasha's young.
Yeah.
And I went through, Erica had terrible 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then finally by the age
You used to look for the 666.
yes, I used to go into bed at night and look for the devil sign, the 3 6s, because I knew she couldn't be mine. But because I was always, if you ask my mother, if my mother was alive, stories about me, I was always like this. I wanted to be around everybody. I was the happiest kid in the world. But to have a child who really had a very bad temper, she grew out of it after 10 years. I left her in the closet for most of the 10 years.
She's awesome now.
Yeah, she's awesome. But the truth, and Maria knows, my daughter chose a path, and it's a health, she's healthy, but I have to respect who she is. It's not who I want her to be. I want her to be a loving, beautiful woman, but you have to respect their choices and who they are as a person. And that's what I learned in my journey. And again, I can tell you stories, but for that purpose.
Yeah.
So that's my.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
So with everything that you mentioned, Maria, you said that your mom didn't learn how to play, and therefore you did it. I feel like for a lot of my, how 20 years that I've been here, 19 years that I've been here now, I will blame my mom for a lot of stuff, but she grew up in a very abusive environment. My grandfather was an alcoholic. He passed away in 2011. They were very, someone can't give a love that they never received themselves to the next person. And at this point in my life, I don't blame myself, because when you're a victim of abuse, you blame yourself for everything that happened to you. And you can't blame yourself, I was a child, my mom was a child when she was growing up in an abusive environment. She didn't have control over what she went through. So, like you said, thank you for, sharing that, because you teach me stuff a lot.
Yeah.
We've only met once before, but you're very inspiring, and I've told you this so many times. But your original question was, how have I dealt with the difficulties, right? And it was, with you was the Audible books. With me, I submerge in school. I'm very, I'm an A-B student, and that has been something I have control over, and it's been what I'm,
That's beautiful.
It's what I do to school. I love school, like I was telling you before. I live at Pace Library all the time, so that's my second home. So that's basically what I do to deal with.
So you can take, and this is what you're talking about, I always say, you have negative energy that you could actually take it into positive energy. The key thing is, as you get older, that you find that balance where you're not sedating. Like, you have to be careful that you don't sedate on your books in your school, that you find that balance into where you're doing, but that's okay. You see, you're sedating in a great way, because it's better than drugs and alcohol, right? And then you can start learning how to reflect and reset, right? And we're going to go back to our parents, because today I had a very heartwarming conversation with my daughter. I was taking her to school, and actually I wanted her to meditate on our way to school, because I'm teaching her to meditate. And she says, I really don't want to meditate, because I enjoy talking to you when you're taking me to school. And I realized, and I said, you know what, you're right. We're not going to do that.
Time together.
And I started talking to her, and she says, I don't know how I'm going, when I get older and I have children, how I'm going to clean their vomit, and when they, if they do number 2. And I said, well, Natasha, when you have your own child, the love that you feel for that child just takes over any of the yuckiness of anything.
Right.
And I was telling her, but the beauty of it is, I said that, you see, I cleaned your vomit and your number 2s. And I said, and someday you might have the privilege of doing that for me.
Oh boy, and it's nothing like a baby.
But wait. So then I told her this story, and this is where I cried, because I lost my mom. It's going to be almost a year, and it still hurts. And I told my daughter, I actually was the one that used to bathe my mom. And for me, it was an honor and a privilege to be able to do that. And I never forget, there was a story that I'm bathing her, she's standing, you know, and my mom had gained weight. And my mom just stood there and she's looking at her body naked, and she starts laughing like, this is what you become. And she goes, look at this. And she goes like this with her belly. And I could not stop laughing, and the two of us were hysterical laughing like for 5 minutes. And it was so vividly this morning in my mind, that memory. And I said to her, you know, what an honor it was for me to claim my mom, because I did, and it was an honor. And I said to her, so someday, if you're blessed enough, because that means that you will have me long enough until I get older, and I might need you to be the one taking care of me. So our parents, you know, my mother came from a very broken place, very broken. And it was in the years that I started trying to figure out, you know, my life in the anxieties and the darkness that I felt, and the anger that I had towards my mom, and the resentment that I had towards her, that I learned that my mom was broken more than I was, and her mother was more broken than ever. And I couldn't expect from my mom what I wanted her to be. She did the best she could. And it's so important to say this, because so many of us have so much anger and resentment and hate sometimes with our parents. And when you go back to their life, do you think your mother does not want to be the best mother that they could be? They gave you what they could. I know my mom did give me what she could. And I was able to reconcile that. And I had, I would say, about 15 really good years with my mom. When I said to my mom the first time, Mom, I'm going to tell you I love you, and I mean it. Because I used to tell you I love you out of respect. It wasn't out of feeling. And my life began with my mom. And I've broken that cycle. And now my kids have me all to themselves. And I am less broken, but I'm still broken.
Right.
And the idea is that my sons, and my daughter, will be less broken than me. And their children will be less broken. And we will not make the mistakes that our parents did, which, you know, with the hitting.
There are different mistakes, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just it. Our parents were in a different time.
Yeah.
So now there are different mistakes. And again, you're 150% right. There will be less broken.
Yeah.
But they're going to be broken in different ways.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, but what I love about this is that you're able to see it.
Yeah.
The person that can say that they're broken is the person is the first one to be healed, or to try to heal.
Yeah.
The ones that don't think that they're broken, they're stuck.
You can't fix it.
They're stuck.
If you think you're not broken, guess what?
Yeah, you're stuck.
You are going to live life in a flat line.
Yeah.
Flat line.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're coming close to ending our show. 30 minutes go very quickly,
But before we end, though,
yes.
you know, and I wanted to say this because I saw you get teary-eyed,
Yeah.
you know, and I'd like you to learn from what Maria said, because
Yeah.
she's a very wise woman.
already.
But, you know, understanding the ups and downs between you and your mom, you know, try to find the way to understand, like she was saying, that she's broken, and that she's doing the best she can. And then maybe it would give you a little bit more comfort to be more approachable with her. And to start creating that bond that Maria got good 15 years out of. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. We pray every day that we wake up in the morning. So be able to say what you want to say now, you know.
She takes amazing care of my grandma that's in Brazil now. She's on bed rest because she can't walk anymore. And, you know, with her immigration status, she can't go back to visit. So she's doing so much for her. And it's, you know, she didn't get the best experience growing up with her. But not that she was aggressive, but she was just emotionally distant from her. but what she's doing now to her is, you know, it's so inspiring to me.
It'll make you proud.
She's taking
right?
such good care of her from far away.
That's beautiful.
But like you said, there was a reason why we met, and your story is so powerful, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here today.
You're a beautiful girl.
You are so beautiful.
Inside and out.
Yes.
This girl is a beautiful girl.
Thank you.
And we're so happy. We're
That
so
you're
happy.
here.
And you have such a beautiful future ahead of you. And we're proud of you. We want to learn. We want to know where you are in your life. So
We're going to
make sure.
continue to
Yeah,
follow her,
we're gonna
okay?
follow her.
But Talita, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for sharing and being vulnerable with us. We truly feel honored anytime somebody comes here and shares, because we are vulnerable too with everyone. You know, people have to just come down and be vulnerable. People are too fake, and people are just, you know, the
Pretending everything's
authenticity.
okay.
Yeah, they don't. Let's stop
No.
pretending. We're all broken, and if you say you're not broken, you're actually one of the most broken ones.
Yeah.
Okay, Talita, thank you so much.
you, love.
We'll have you again someday.
Definitely.
Okay.
When you're a nurse.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye
guys. See you
bye.
next
Remember to like us.